The following show contains adult content. It's not our intent to offend anyone, but we want to inform you that if you are a child under the age of 18 or get offended easily, this next show may not be for you. The content, opinions, and subject matter of these shows are solely the choice of your show hosts and their guests, and not those of the Entertainment Network or any affiliated stations. Any comments or inquiries should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for listening.
Yo.
What's up, fam, man? How you doing?
I want to say how mad I am at social media platforms today. Like, I tried really hard to promote and do a bunch of stuff with that video and stuff, and Facebook just shot me down every which way from Sunday. And so I got that put together, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. I'm sorry. Like, Facebook's not playing ball with me. Like, I'm still in Facebook jail for something I didn't even do. Like, I still can't even do Facebook Live. Ugh.
You're always in and out of that shit. Always. Ant-Man. Come on.
Well, you know, like, that's like proverbial thumb on the little guy, you know, like, geez. So anyway, so, you know, it's been fun, man. This Ohio weather we've been having. I blame you, because you guys, you and Kirk travel so much. Like, you guys were traveling in nice weather and you brought it down on us.
No, you can't blame us, because I get to experience weather you don't. So I go places where it's snowing and it's not here. So I'm doubled up with it.
Oh man, so how are you?
I'm doing good. This weekend was actually really exhausting. I did my own show, and I had my own employee, and it was exhausting. It was the biggest show ever in this venue, particular in Cincinnati, and everybody has to come to a reptile expo. They're awesome.
Yeah.
You get to see so much awesomeness, lizards and snakes and even furry animals, chinchillas and hedgehogs, and so much. You gotta go check it out. Sin City Reptile Expo happens once a month. Columbus Reptile Expo happens once a month, and that's where I was this weekend, Columbus and Cincy.
Oh wow, right on. So is it like at the convention center, or what part of town in Columbus do you guys normally do this?
Hilliard.
Hilliard. Oh,
Mhm.
what is the community center over there, or
It's
what?
by the police station, right behind it.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That's sweet. That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. It's
Right.
awesome.
You guys pick up any interesting amphibians or any new creatures?
Let's see what's in our inventory right now is really cool is agamas. They turn like red and blue when they get older, like bright red, bright blue. Really hard to find. We have some really awesome hybrid snakes that are the most phenomenal colors. It'll blow you away. And tarantulas, of course. If you like the arachnids, we've got lots of those.
Yeah. Man.
And our crabs, let me tell you, we got crabs.
We got
Okay, but they're the good kind of crabs. Okay.
Yeah, right.
So they're Halloween crabs. They're orange and black and purple, and they're sweet as hell. They're so cool looking, and we sell those like they're going out of style. I sell 30 of them in a week.
Like, so what do people do? Like, what do you do with a crab? Like, I mean, like, you can't just put it in a ball and let it walk around your living room, right? I mean, so like, really, like, what? It sounds really stupid, like a stupid human saying, but like, what entertainment does a crab have?
Okay, so crabs can lose every part of their bodies except their eyeballs and grow it back. They can grow it back. They can lose their whole leg or whole arm, whole claw, and grow it back. So crabs like to go to battle. They're like Spartans. Like They
duel and all kinds of like
will duel.
ear lock horns and stuff.
They are so fun to watch. Either they're just sitting on top of each other hanging out like a stack of hamburger patties, or they're fighting and dueling, and it's hilarious. And that's just what they do. So they're really cool to watch. And they're not high maintenance, very easy to take care of. So, and you don't have to buy food. They eat your table scraps. They'll eat anything because they're scavengers. So they're so cool.
I read somewhere that there's this crab, like, I don't even know what kind of crab it is. Like, I feel smart when I'm on the show and I'm talking this stuff with you. I'm like, it makes me go back to Google and be like, all right, next week, I'm ready for it next week. So like, there's this crab that, depending on what it eats, when you use a black light, it'll shine a different color, or some crabs shine or are different, like reflective to different color lighting and stuff like that. I was weird. I don't know if you've ever seen.
That's more of an ocean crab. I don't remember which one it is, but it's not something that we've ever encountered.
Gotcha.
There is a really cool one called a zombie crab, and I had one in stock, and you'll see it on our Facebook page on Standout Serpents. But so it's a really dark purple, almost looks black, but if you get it wet, it turns purple, dark purple,
like a Hot Wheels car.
And it looks like it has bones in its little arms and legs, and the like meat and flesh is coming off of the bone. So that's why they call it a zombie crab. It is so cool.
Wow. I totally just geeked out. Like, I could lose half of the show just talking about crabs and talk about. That's awesome, man. That's pretty cool. Like, I would be that person that would be like, live down the street from your pet store, from you and Kirk's shop, and I would be in there every day. Like, what's this?
I know. I have people come in weekly to our shop that buy feeder rats for their animals or feeder bugs, and they will spend an hour just looking around our shop, and they're just so amazed. So I love doing what I'm doing. I love making people happy. I love getting them their dream pets. So you guys, you have a dream pet? What do you want?
Like, I want to know what these mofos like, because I know we got some creepy fans. Like, I'm even curious if Alex our guest tonight, if Alex, like, what he's into, because I bet he's got an awesome insight on some of that too.
So, I just want everybody to know to go check us out, Standout Serpents.
Do it
on Facebook and Instagram. Facebook mainly. Our website doesn't stay updated because we're doing the shows all the time. So what you got to do is go to an expo. You have to contact us and ask when the next expo around you is, and we'll tell you. And we're happy to help. And we're happy to help you with your animal, because we don't want just the keeper happy. We want the animals happy too. So we really stand strong on that. And
it really stand out.
We do. We stand out. We've. Oh my goodness! I can go into that, but I'm not. We're the place to go. That's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So let's check out the chat room. We got lots of people in.
Hey, whoever that Facebook person is. So I just want to throw this tidbit out there. So we get a lot of people that watch the show after the show, which is great. But we have to get some people in the knowledge that you have to, if you give the StreamYard permission, then it'll show your Facebook information and we can properly show love to you. But in the meantime, right now, the Facebook user, thank you so much. It's good to be back, and I missed everybody, and I tried to do a little show a couple weeks ago, a little thing, and I got frustrated. It was like that. So we're gonna do something new soon, but in the meantime, I'm here with you and this lovely lady right here, Roxy, and yeah, man, I'm excited about tonight. Like, I'm gonna try not to fanboy out.
I know. Band we all grow up with, well, everybody that I know, that my group of people I associate with, they love Testament. Testament is a big deal, even for me. Their newest album came out. Night of the Witch came out, and that is in my everyday playlist. I love that song, and the guitar solo in there is, oh my gosh, away.
what I love about bands and like especially like bands with like this is gonna sound really bad to say, but bands with education, people that are smart, like it's great, great music, great always, but it's always nice to hear the behind or the different, the what they're doing other than that, like there's always a bigger story. And and Alex and Testament, like it's just yeah, there's so much more, and we're about to do that.
Yeah, definitely.
It's you too.
You know, I know. It's Mr. Incognito. So, yeah, there's a lot of layers to people. And we put our forefront like on. We put a presence on for people that were around, and we hide some, sometimes we hide it, sometimes we are out there doing it and the other people just don't see it.
Right.
There's layers to people, and we got to let those people open up, and we got to give them credit because that's who they are. That's how, ourselves even, if I came on this show and I tell you anything about my reptile world, you wouldn't know anything about it. But we gotta share. We gotta help people grow within themselves and get this out there. So, and not only with our guests tonight, there's so many of us, and every one of you guys, RA Nation family. I'm sure there's a lot more to you than just the music world. We've met in the music industry. I know you. Antman knows you, but do we know those little details about you? Don't be afraid to share that stuff. So put that in the chat room. If you have something that you're passionate about, that you like, something that you're into that nobody else really knows, or whatever, put it in that chat room. I want to hear your story.
I just want to know what makes you special. Like what makes you like, and I don't mean that in a smart ass sarcastic way, because mofos tend to do that. Like I mean, like, when somebody asks you how are you, and then they're like, oh yeah, I'm fine, and then they're like, no, I mean seriously, like, how are you?
Yeah, we don't have to
like when
pre-program
somebody does that.
response.
Yeah, when somebody does that, that's when you're like, whoa, they really, whoa, so.
Yep, that shows care and compassion, and we lack that as human beings, don't we?
Oh, yeah, more than ever in 2022.
Right.
I feel like, yeah.
I know we're afraid of the answer. Are we going to talk COVID? Are we going to, we're
Well,
we're afraid of those answers sometimes.
Tonight we're going to talk about the big lie, and it's going to be great. I'm excited. I know Alex is excited. I'm excited.
Gaming, that's a big one.
Gaming, yes.
There's a lot of gamers out there. Of course, music.
Yeah.
But music, what kind of music though? Do you represent yourself as thrash metal, or do you represent yourself as jazz? There's a question.
Always wanted to own an alligator.
There's a question to ponder on for tonight's show.
Yes.
Here's one. Always wanted to own an alligator. Hard to give them a good life in a frozen north. Hey, Standout Serpents can help you with that, because caimans are a dwarf version of an alligator. And there's smooth fronts and all kinds of caimans.
I was just gonna say that.
There's a small caiman. They're just small little alligators, and you can't own them in Ohio legally. And you just got to have enough space for them and provide a lot of meat. They eat a lot of meat, so you're gonna be buying like whole chickens and all kinds of.
If you live in the inner city, you got food for days. All those cats running through the neighborhood, like you got food for days if you live in the inner.
Cat. Somebody asked me, "Hey, do you take live rodents in? Will you accept them?" I'm like, "Do you breed them in my walls?" I'm like,
no.
No,
we're not that kind of serpent.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, tonight's gonna be fun. Drawing and graphic arts. Yes.
All right. We're gonna move forward here, do our thank yous to Standout Serpents for helping promote the show. And we're going to give thanks to W4CY Radio, Talk 4 TV, and Music Familiar Productions for making this happen tonight and every other Monday night. For your pleasure, our pleasure, and everybody else's, we're going to learn and grow together here in the music industry. So I'm going to tell you about tonight's guest, Alex Skolnick.
Roxy, you're killing me.
So, amazing guitar player. A lot more going on with Alex, and we're going to get to know him as we bring him in right now.
Hey, guys. Hello.
Hey,
Alex.
Good to be with you.
good to be with you, too. Look at you. You're all set up. You in your music room. That's awesome.
Well, I have a podcast myself. So I do it right here on this microphone and this exact setup. And,
Nice.
It's it's fun. A bunch of good things came out of the pandemic. So learning how to do this, learning how to set up all this audio gear. I got much better at recording music myself, including the crazy tune that I think we're going to talk about. And it's been interesting, but hopefully we get back to normal soon. But anyway, pleasure. Well, yes, welcome to my music room.
Well, yeah, that is awesome.
Few instruments, yes.
And yeah, I want to address on that. We did have a lot of great things come out of COVID. A lot of people always tend to focus on the negative parts of COVID, but we can always see the positive, and we can grow from the negative. So that's why we're here. We're growing together.
That's right.
So you started Moods and Modes, right?
Moods and Modes. Yes, that is the podcast. And it started July of 2020. And I was planning to do it for a long time. I'd actually been thinking about it for years. It just took the pandemic for me to really get it together. And it's a lot of fun. I've done everything from kind of music store focused episodes where I visit a music store and talk to the owners, play the guitars, to some artists that I toss around a guitar with or jam with. And then a few I've done Zoom conferences with, including a couple pretty noteworthy folks like Peter Frampton and Pat Metheny. So it's a lot of fun.
Man.
Wow.
Yeah, it kind of grew pretty fast, and it charts, and it's got growing listenership. So that's been a new thing. But it's Moods and Modes, and it's wherever you get your podcasts.
Yes, definitely everywhere. It is. You search it, and Google will throw 100 different answers at you on where to find it. So, yeah, that is really awesome, and that was COVID created.
Absolutely, brought to you by COVID.
Yeah. What I love about the whole thing, I think Roxy's onto something. Even though the pandemic affected everybody in such a big way, I don't think that there's a percentage of people that just went right over their head as far as an opportunity to recreate themselves. They just were like, oh, wait a minute, slow down. And by the time you were waiting for that was already gone. It's really awesome to see old school slide into new school and new school open up to slide into old school, and the way things go. It's really unique to see the music and the ideas that have come out of everything.
Yeah, a lot of music happened that wouldn't have happened otherwise as well. I mean, right as the whole thing started, my friend Charlie Benante from Anthrax got a hold of me and wanted to do a recording of a Rush song because Neil Peart had recently passed away. He passed away I think in January or February 2020. Yeah. So it was still very recent. So we did a version of YYZ by Rush, and it's with Rod Diaz currently with suicidal tendencies, although he just did a tour with Korn, filling in. And that song, our version of YYZ, went pretty viral. And so we started following it up, and then we did La Via Strangiato. We brought in a singer, Brandon from Crowbot, and did Free Will. I think we did a total of 5 Rush songs, but they started getting a lot of attention. So Rolling Stone covered them, and the next thing you know, they're in the music press beyond metal. And we were getting a lot of questions too from people, just because everybody's in lockdown at this point.
What kind of questions?
Oh, just from musicians. Like, how are you guys playing? I don't get it. You're playing, but you're like all in your homes. And what programs and what software? And we didn't tell anybody,
right,
for the longest time. But basically, I mean, now it's obvious because since then, now there's a thing called quarantine videos.
Mm-hmm.
It's a standard thing. But I would like to argue that I think we were one of the first, because a lot of folks who have gone on to do that, they did not know. And I was hearing we all were, and we sort of made a decision. Okay, we're just going to keep quiet about the fact that Charlie played to a Rush album and then videoed himself. And then he sent that to me and Raw, and we each played to his video, but looking at him and reacting. So when you put it all together, just like you make a record, except we were videoing the whole thing, and then the videos are put together. It looks like we're all playing together, but we're actually tracking it.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant, and it goes along with, there was a band in New York, I believe, during the height of the pandemic when everything was locked down. And I guess they all had families, like lived up and down this one street. So they went to their family's house and they hung out their window and played their instruments out and I'd never seen anything like that before. But, around the world, I guess in other countries like Paris and other places, they do that kind of thing out there. It's just out the window for everybody to chime in and play. And I thought that was
yeah, that's a very Euro thing to do. There was a lot of things like that happen. I mean, it was a really interesting time. I mean, we're still digesting it all. We're still taking it in because it's pretty recent and it's not quite over yet. Technically we're still in the situation, and it's I think knock on wood, it's starting to be over soon, but eventually there's going to be some really interesting documentaries about these past 2 years. And people cheering for the healthcare workers on the balconies, and then like the musicians you described, and the quarantine videos, and hope people doing creative things. Of course, there was a lot of negative things that happened too. People getting sick, but it's good to look for the positive stories and all that. And I think there are a bunch. So those quarantine videos. I mean, we anybody who hasn't seen the Rush tribute by me and Charlie and Ra, check it out. But that was really one of the first ones.
And it was really awesome, definitely. And other bands were putting together entire albums tracked separately. So the entire album being tracked separately like that was an astonishment, because I caught wind of it being in the industry. And as I was telling a few of my friends, I'm like, you want to try this out? It's a good opportunity here. And they were so blown away by the fact that they didn't even believe that it could even exist. But now today, after, these couple years of torment with everything else, now they're seeing that it's been happening.
Yeah.
So definitely venture out into that, because it's a new thing. It's not going to go away.
That's probably right. I mean, it's opened some possibilities. I mean, I think a lot more people are going to work from home. It's not always a bad thing, cutting out like 2 hours sitting in traffic is a great thing. You know?
Yeah.
And then, yeah, being able to make albums like this. I believe Nancy Wilson of Heart, you know, she was planning this solo record for a long time, and she was not going to let it go just because of this. And that's a good example of somebody
It's a prime example.
well known. Yeah, and she found a way to do it, and it's a good record.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for all you listeners out there, get on board and make things happen. You can't find your drummer, your guitarist in the area, start looking somewhere else, because they can be in your area. They can be in your studio with you.
Well, it's like
Not physically present, but
so many bands, you know, reach out to me like in the pandemic, like, "Oh, Antman, you do a podcast?" Like, yeah. "Oh man, so you know how to do all that?" Yup. "Well, then you can come over." Nope. Nope. Like, I didn't have anybody over here telling me where to plug my left and my right and do this and do that and do it. You know, like, I'll come and help, but I'm not going to do it for you. Like, because when I leave, what's going to happen? Boop, 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 boop. Antman, this broke. Dude, it's broke. I'm like, yeah, fix it. You know, like, and I want to help and do that, but a lot of the bands is just in our area, they want to succeed, but they also shoot themselves in the foot with not believing they can do it from the first.
Yeah, there's also no excuse now because everything is online. Like any question that they would ask you, you know, how do I plug my interface in, or how do I select an input, or whatever it is. I mean, you could just Google that question. It'll come up. I mean, I did it a bunch. I was not that familiar with Logic, which is this great program. You know, I'm able to do tracks and that are used in studios. I've done several recordings for other artists that have been used, and I learned how to do it. And there's tutorials. There's these great tutorials where people, you know, and thank you to these people, whoever they are, these people on YouTube who do these tutorials. They walk you through things, and it's amazing. So there's no reason they should have to call Antman and go over to his place. You know?
Yeah. Alex, what for you from the time of starting music, like from way earliest years you can remember to today, what has been the biggest, I guess, focus for you as you've moved through music? Because you've, you know, I don't know if many people know this, you've transitioned into jazz and all kinds of different things. And how do you flow through those?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's hard to picture, you know, one big moment, but I think, yeah, during the first wave of Testament, like early on, after I'd always had this image in my mind, you know, once you're making a record and doing a tour, either across the United States or across the world, and everything's going to fall into place, and you're going to be, you know, it's just going to make sense. But I think I was so young when I joined that band. I was 16 when I joined the band. I was 18 when we put out the first album. So I found myself on tour at, you know, 18 years old. It's pretty young. And it's like the years I was 18 and 19, the first two records, I was just, I felt like, okay, this is great. I feel like there's more. And I was still developing as a musician. So I just kept discovering music that I liked. And it just because it didn't fit into the scene that I was a part of, it made no sense to me to not get into that music and to get to know people who were into that other music. And at a certain point, yeah, I just realized I want to be an all-around musician. And it took a long time to get there. But
I want to back it up just a little bit and know what got you into music, how you started playing.
Oh, well, way back when, I mean, I was a fan of, when I was a kid, I think I was always picking up on music. So, especially songs that were easy for kids to understand, and I'm talking like, I don't know, being a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
I could be a 6-year-old and I could hear a song like Yellow Submarine, right? Hey Jude, or Rock Around the Clock.
There you
Right?
go.
It's just so simple.
Yeah.
And it's like exciting and all this stuff. So I always loved the music. And I only started playing. Well, I tried to play piano, and I didn't have my teacher wasn't very good at the time, and I kind of got discouraged, and I just didn't think I had what it takes. And then I think I was 8 years old, and then a couple years later, when I gave guitar a shot at 10, I was determined. I'm like, all right, I screwed up with piano. I'm gonna stick with this, whatever happens. And I got really determined. And and I think by that time I discovered Kiss, and at that time, Kiss was like superheroes. It was like Batman and Aquaman playing guitars. And I genuinely liked the music. And then it was always a mix of music, though. I never went straight, like, full, even though that was my biggest influence around the time I started playing was Kiss. I never went full hard rock, heavy metal right away. I mean, it was a mix. Yes, I got into AC/DC shortly after that, and some other groups that kind of sounded like Kiss, but I was also into soundtracks. The Blues Brothers film came out around that time.
Yeah,
I
great
loved
soundtrack.
that soundtrack. I still love that soundtrack.
Yes.
The Rocky Horror Picture Show was popular with friends of mine. So, shout out to Meatloaf, may he rest in peace, who we just lost. And, I love that whole soundtrack. And it was a mix, and I used to learn. If I couldn't learn the whole songs, like those types of songs were pretty complex, especially like the Rocky Horror songs, or those. That's a full-on musical, but I'd find like bits and pieces I could learn. I could learn the Time Warp, right? That's a pretty easy
Time Warp,
yeah. That's a hard rock tune in a way. And even some punk rock. I like the Sex Pistols. I liked the Police. I mean, it was just a real big mix of music. And then as I got old, by the time I was, I guess, 14, and I'd been playing for 4 years. Eventually I heard Van Halen for the first time. It was a few years too late. They'd been around, not too late, but they'd been around already. They were on, I don't know, probably their 4th or 5th album. Right around the end of the David Lee Roth era that I discovered them for the first time. And then I decided, okay, that's when I made the decision to be a lead guitarist, and I understood being a virtuoso musician. Hearing Van Halen, and also Randy Rhoads, with the first Ozzy records. So those were a big influence, and I guess that also kind of pushed me towards the heavy side of things. But I never stopped liking all the other music that I liked.
All right. So with what you're bringing up into and all that you encountered throughout those years, you ended up with Testament at an early age.
Mm-hmm.
But that didn't stop you from your variety of music there, did it? I mean, thrash metal is pretty heavy, and you didn't stop there. You kept adventuring, and then now you've got this jazz thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is astounding, and I love it.
Well, I got to the point, and I was determined to get to this point. I didn't I didn't know it would take this long, but I finally got to this point. I can exist in that world. So, just in the past few weeks, there's a venue in New York that's kind of legendary called the 55 Bar. Jaco Pastorius used to play there. There's a photo of him. When I first moved to New York, I used to go hear concerts there, and even though it's small and it's kind of an insider thing, it means something to play there. And I've played there quite a few times recently.
That's awesome.
I did some tour dates last year with Percy Jones, who's this legend from the 70s, and he played with Phil Collins back when Phil Collins was known as a drummer.
Yeah.
A great drummer before his pop career. And also, worked with Brian Eno, and he's worked with a lot of favorite musicians of mine. I've done things like I played guitar at this bass event where it was all put on by Warwick, and they did a camp for a week, and it was all bass players except for me and the drummer Dennis Chambers, who's one of my favorite drummers. He's on a lot of my favorite records. So, so we're kind of being at this point where I'm around musicians like this. I'm in touch with me, like they know me for the instrumental side of things, which is a cool. It's a cool place to be, and I'm very happy with it. I realize that a lot of most people that know my name, they know me for this other thing, but I don't see why that should be an issue. Like I feel like it all works together, and I think getting back to those first couple of years of touring. I mean, I think any musician will tell you that once you start touring, once you do one tour, you hit the road and you're just playing every night. There's no comparison. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what style of music is. Just that's like boot camp. That's like training. And people do different things with that. But no matter what, you're just going to be so much better as a player. Everybody goes through that. And I think I felt myself getting better. I realized, okay, I could take this other places. I don't have to just be limited to the thrash metal thing. As great as that is, that's just one thing. And I realize, it's highly unusual because most people who play that music tend to stick with that, which is fine. But I've just always had this, appreciation for different styles of music, and I like being able to step into different circles. And I play with musicians that could not know, they wouldn't know the difference between Slayer and a rolling pin.
So I want to kind of give a little story on that. Is I talked to somebody over the weekend who their significant other only listened to one or two bands primarily, and maybe a couple ones in that genre, and they're like, all their music is trash. All other music doesn't. No. And they're a musician. They're in a band, but they think that it has to be this way or no way. Mm-hmm. And I want to encourage people to step out of that box and not have that mindset, because the music from other genres, the variety of music that you can get, it's just more than notes being played. It's way more than that. And a good musician will hear it. A good musician will understand and appreciate it. So I want to address that, and I want everybody to step out of their little box and go listen to something different. Like, let's use this to segue into your trio. Tell us a little bit about Trio.
Okay, so the Trio that was formed in the 2000s, and I think up in that till that point, I left Testament to just really focus on, I just needed to develop as a musician, and not just, especially at that point. And most of the 90s, I was sort of exploring, and at that time, I don't know, grunge and alternative music were all with the catchphrases, and I knew that wasn't for me, even though I liked some of those songs. But guitar soloing is out. What are you talking about? The solos, so I got more and more into instrumental music where it's all about technique and solos, and eventually decided to move to New York, and I wanted to study music at the university level. So it was also a good excuse to move to the city. I just felt like I needed to get away from the San Francisco Bay Area where I'd grown up, and just kind of, it was like, starting over. So I went to the New School, which is, this great university in New York. It's one of the 3 great universities, along with NYU and Columbia. And did the program there, and met my drummer. His name's Matt Zabrowski. And we were both kind of outcasts in a way because, he wasn't a pure jazz guy. He could play, he was definitely one of the star drummers at the school, but he knew my stuff from Testament. He had been a metal fan, but it didn't limit himself. He didn't fit the mold of the one thing about music schools. It's great as an experience. It is to go to a music school. Some of them, they have a mold, and they're kind of molding people. It's probably not just music schools. It's probably many different types of educational programs. You sort of cookie cutter, and they push you in a certain direction.
Like they feel like they need to shove. Yeah, I've heard of that, and I've actually seen it.
Yeah, and then there becomes these cliques of people that sort of follow that, and if you don't fit in with that, it's kind of odd. So anyway, we kind of hit it off. We were part of this whole circle of friends that were sort of outcast. I'm still friends with all of them, which is great. It was a strange thing for me to decide to do as the guy from Testament, quote unquote, go to university and get a music degree. Like, that's insane. But you know what? It was like the best thing I did for my playing. I learned how to play with other instruments. I didn't know. So sorry. Off. I learned how to play with piano. Because if you're going to play jazz, you need to learn how to play with a piano player. It's a different skill set. Learn how to play with horns. Horns are great, but it's like they don't exist in the heavy rock, where I was coming from.
Yeah.
That's what I grew up on. I played trumpet for so long, and I couldn't get into my rock music world. So,
yeah. So it was great to just sort of be around, absorb that, and be around that. It was one of the best things I did. So even though it made no sense to anybody else, so I also learned, this is what I should do. So during that time, I formed this trio just to kind of play around, and it was funny because I tried to start other bands in the 90s, and it just never really worked for a number of reasons. And finally here I am. I've got this project, and we're just thinking, okay, maybe we'll play around the city. There's like some breweries and stuff that have jazz bands and whatever, and we'll just play. And I don't know, we just had chemistry. It just worked really well. And at one point, I started having these crazy ideas for taking heavy rock tunes and sort of rearranging them for a jazz guitar trio. Because all the jazz guitar trios are like playing the same songs.
Yep.
Right.
That's why I could never get into jazz, because I always felt like it's like, the different characters' names are different, but it's the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's some amazing music and some classic music, but I think at that point in particular, like there was just so much repetition. So it's like jazz guitar trio. Okay, they're gonna do songs like "Autumn Leaves," for example. This old song. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to listen to. There's no shortage of people doing that. So I thought, okay, what if we did a tune by the Scorpions? And it was a crazy idea. But I realized that, the Scorpions have some melodies that are beautiful. Like the first one I thought of was right, and it totally makes sense.
And you feel it in another sense too. You
I
really
was just getting ready to say that. Like, I could feel myself lifting off of this chair. Like, that was awesome.
yeah.
Yeah,
You
it was a funny thing. So I brought that in, and we were kind of laughing about it. It was because it sort of had a novelty quality to it. We're like, let's just play it. Let's see what happens.
Yay.
And I remember we did a couple gigs. It was like I think it was like a wine bar or something in New York, and we started playing that, and heads were turning. Like, what is that? I know that song. What is that?
That was me on the there's Goodbye to Romance.
Yes,
one. I heard that one and I was like, wow.
Yeah, so then it made sense to let's do a few more. So I started mining hard rock and heavy metal for like, okay, what are songs that have melodies that we can convert and treat like a jazz guitar trio? And so that was one of them, Goodbye to Romance. Goodbye to Romance sounds like it would be a jazz album. So when we did the first CD in 2003, it's a long time ago. That was the name of it, Goodbye to Romance, Standards for New Generation. And I thought, okay, this is the first one. We'll just get it out there, and then, you do these to learn, and then we'll do the next one, and then the next one. And then at some point, maybe something will happen with Ed. And I started hearing from jazz radio stations. Like, I got to the point, a Billboard magazine did a full half-page feature on it. Downbeat, it was insane. I'm like, this makes no sense at all, but it connected in a way. And I had to hire this jazz radio promoter, this great guy, and we could not get the CDs out fast enough. And I was on a bunch of these stations, and that was how it started. And we've since done about, I think, 5 albums, 1 live album. And I'm still playing. We've had a couple different bass players, but I've always had the same drummer. And we're working on some music now. We're planning another release pretty soon.
Wow.
And you did one with Lost Symphony. Everybody needs to go and check that one out.
That one's epic.
Take Another Piece by Lost Symphony.
Yeah, well, that came out of nowhere. They got a hold of me, and that was one of the several guest tracks that I've done during the pandemic. Another one was there's a great blues artist named Mike Zito, and I played on his record. I just played on a country record. I'm not going to announce it because it's not out yet. But with some pretty like legit musicians, which is a totally different thing. But Lost Symphony reached out, and that was a lot of fun. And some of the other guitar going on there, it's like Nuno Bettencourt and Marty Friedman. I don't know. I was just like, all right, it's great because I gotta brush up on my chops.
So I want to address on why I named the show The Real Alex Skolnick, because everybody knows you as thrash metal, the big four, Testament, which is all great. But I want everybody to know that there's a lot more to you than that. I heard you say a statement actually just last week, and you said, somebody asked you, what music do you listen to on a normal basis? And your answer was something I don't want to pick up my guitar and play to.
Right.
And that made my wheels turn and whatnot. And then learning that you're into the jazz scene, and I've always thought that metal music is a reprise version of classical music.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just so awesome to know that you have dug into a whole nother area. It's not the only area you've dug into either, and you're doing so phenomenal at it. And I want everybody to know that to breach those walls and go find other things. You might be more fitting in it. You might find a passion in it, and don't let anything limit you. Anything.
Yeah, great, nice words. I've actually met artists in other genres, in jazz and classical, that have come from metal. They had their metal phase, but they also found they were good at these other things. So, there's, and I'm not telling people they have to like. I've never been, a fan of, like lecturing people about, don't you realize this is good music? No, but you should at least be open to it. Maybe you'll like it.
I do have some questions over here in the chat room as we wind down, and then I would love to hear something from you playing there right in front of us. That would be awesome. But let's see. Somebody stated music has some creativity thanks to COVID. I think that was Frank. COVID helped finish our album. Antman knows that. And can you ask him why it's so hard to find a drummer?
Oh, that's.
You want to throw a little statement out there on that one?
Yeah, that's a good question. There was just a thread the other day on Twitter. My friend Vernon Reed from Living Color was tweeting about this, and I that was how I saw it. But it was a pretty long thread, and it was about drummers, and he had said something like, good, good drummer, band sounds good. Bad drummer, band doesn't sound good. And it can be the same band, but it doesn't matter. Pat Metheny recently said that the drummer is the leader of the band.
Yeah.
It does not matter whose name is on the marquee.
I agree with that. I do. I do agree with that.
So the drummer has to be good. Yeah, and it's very tough because the good ones you have to look harder to find them. And sometimes, a drummer could be really good at getting attention. It's much like guitar too, but lose the big picture as far as music. Somebody who goes to the drum section at Guitar Center and gets a crowd because they're doing Neil Peart and Joey Jordison fills might not be a great drummer for a band, because that doesn't really matter so much in a band. What really matters is feel. Like, you should be able to enjoy the drums even when there's no band playing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which isn't, it's tough because the drums can be hard to listen to. Anybody who's been through a drum sound check knows what I'm talking. So that's like the worst thing in the world. Hit the snare, please. Boom, boom, right?
Yeah.
But when a good drummer plays and they just play a beat, there's nothing like it. If you watch this new documentary on the Beatles making their music,
oh yeah,
there are these scenes of Ringo, right? And he's just playing by himself, and he's suggesting grooves, and you listen to these grooves, like, yes, and you could just listen to him, and he's not known as the fanciest drummer during that time period. People like Ginger Baker of Cream, or who else? Keith Moon from the Who. They were like the attention-getting drummers, and they were great drummers. But Ringo, he was kind of overshadowed by players like that. But you look at this new Beatles film is really like justice for Ringo, because it really just shows how important he is. And you have to be a good judge of a good drummer too, and it takes a while to develop that skill. it took me time. This was something I went through in the 90s too, when I was like trying to put bands together and it never quite worked out. And eventually I realized, it just really hit me. I think when I went to a few shows where the drummers were really good, and I realized, whoa, okay, this is making such a difference just because of the drums.
Yep, definitely. I can say that I've noticed that too, and the fact that not only they don't even just hold the band together, but they create what's happening through that session.
Yeah. And I hate, it's awful to have to let somebody go and tell somebody, it's not working out. I've had to do that a couple times, and it's terrible.
Yeah, even if they are really good drummers, but they're just not, like you said, they can play the lick, but they can't feel the lick.
Yeah, like I can think of one of them who got over it, and we're friends to this day. He understands, he does what he does, and he kind of. There's another one who, it was good, but he never got over it. And, it was a shame, and he was kind of when I was putting a trio together, he was like the candidate for the trio, and we started playing, and he was doing the songs. But when I played with my guy now, Matt, oh my God, there was just such a difference.
You just know.
Yeah, or you finish the song and your tempo is close to where you started it. Maybe it's not and I remember with this other guy, I had started doing my arrangement of War Pigs, and I remember we finished that, and it was like we started it twice as fast. And he's amazing. He was like this up and coming jazz and jazz rock drummer, but I was like, that's not the tempo. No.
I have a couple more questions here in the comments section. Have you ever worked with Steve Vai?
I never worked with him.
He's a badass, and he wants to see you work with Steve Vai.
I did do a workshop. Joe Satriani does these events, which are amazing.
I've always wanted to go to one of his workshops.
The
I see him.
G4 experience. It's
Yeah.
called.
Yeah.
So he did one a few years ago, and it was, just what an honor. It was like the instructors, it was myself, Eric Johnson, Steve Vai, and Mike Keneally.
Nice.
A few others, but we were like the featured names, and I was just, okay, this is insane. And we hung, we had lunch, it was great, but never worked with.
Here's another one. The first song I ever learned to play was Johnny Be Good. I learned it from my grandmother. What's the first song you ever learned?
Cool. That was one of them. I learned that one pretty early on. But I think before that, we were just talking about the Beatles and Ringo. There was a song that Ringo sings in the Beatles. It's a very simple song called Act Naturally. And that was the first one I learned.
Oh, nice. And one more for now is best memory performing with Jeff Beck.
I never performed with Jeff Beck, but if I did, I guarantee you I would have a great memory of it. I don't know where that comes from. I did have some shows with his bass player at NAMM. His bass player was Rhonda Smith. That's Jeff Beck's longtime bass player. She and I played together. And I've played, I'm trying to think, I may have worked with some other musicians who have worked with him, but I've never worked with him. And I saw there was some picture of me and Ozzy out there. I think it was promoting this, which is cool. I did do a show with Ozzy, but it was really like an audition. It was like the highest level of the audition was this unannounced show, and it didn't go further than that. So I was never technically Ozzy's guitar player, although I at least did do one show with.
What if he asked you right now this day, would you go play with him for like a tour or something?
Ozzy? Oh, absolutely. And I really like the stuff he's doing now. I think he's doing some really the recent music is some of the most creative he's done in a while.
Alex, I know we're cutting on time, man, but I gotta ask. So, Scully D, man, Scully D, like, fill me in, man. Fill me in. Don't fill me in. I guess fill them in, because man, this is epic. This is brilliant.
Yeah. I think I'm like a glutton for hate mail because I used to get that for being a jazz player. Like, who's this?
You get
jazz
hate
guy?
mail for being a jazz player?
Yeah. I when websites like Blabbermouth and stuff first came out,
Probably the Testament lovers that are like hardcore Testament.
right? There were these hardcore guys. They just couldn't deal with it. Eventually, it kind of died down and it became accepted. You know, because now lots of musicians play in more than one band. There's others that change genres. So it's been fine. It's been fine for the last few years. I haven't, it's died. But so what do? I start doing rap during the pandemic, and I make it, about the election and about all. Well, guess what? Here it comes.
Yeah.
Actually, a lot of people like it. There's definitely more positive comments than negative, but
I'm sure.
It is. It's been interesting. And it's funny. So, one of my big influences for years, also as far as just not being limited by styles of music, is Frank Zappa. I was a huge. Yeah, I was always a huge fan of Zappa. I used to listen when I was right around the time I started playing guitar. In addition to the Beatles and Kiss, there was this comedy show that would come on the radio called the Dr. Demento Show. It was broadcast for a number of years.
Yeah.
Weird Al Yankovic got his start sending songs to that show. It was just him and the accordion. That's why we know of Weird Al Yankovic. So he would play Weird Al classic comedy like people like Spike Jones and Monty Python in the UK, the songs of Monty Python, and Frank Zappa, a lot of Frank Zappa. So I started getting into Frank Zappa because of that show, because of the comedy. And I've always appreciated that. And a lot of us Zappa fans, we wish he was still around, and we can only imagine, like, with all the crazy stuff that has happened over the last years. So I've always kind of wanted to do some songs by him. I love old school rap. Like, I love some of the newer stuff is great. It's hard to do because there's so many words, and I always liked the kind of 80s through mid 90s rap where you can really follow the words.
Run DMC, baby.
Yeah, Run DMC, especially.
Cool in the game.
Run DMC, Beastie Boys, even Young MC, even though he was more of a pop guy. The music was good. I think Flea guested with him, and it was
he did.
Really cool. So I like that stuff. So the new song I did is called Biglie. And it was released on January 6th. It is about January 6th, and it is about the personalities on Fox, that the nighttime personalities, specifically Hannity, Tucker, Ingram, and Janine. And these are people, I can't take them seriously. I mean, these are people that, and I'm not going to get into politics. I'm not going to get into
but
it doesn't make me a leftist. It doesn't make me like some of the things people have said to me about it. It's insane, and I've been brainwashed by CNN, and I'm a leftist. It's so ridiculous. And if you watch these people, they yell at the TV, and it's nuts. And so I put them in. I always wanted to do a rap song about them. So it's a rap song. It's about them. It's about the election. It's about January 6th. And
it's fucking brilliant.
Thank you. If you like, I've had people like the song, people don't like. I don't care. It actually does not matter to me. I did it purely for my own amusement.
I love Blabbermouth because it was like they were sitting on their thumbs waiting, because you no more than put this out. Like, it just caught some fresh air. And then all of a sudden, like, boop, 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 Blabbermouth, boop, 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 TMZ, boop, 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 boop. And I'm like, and I was looking at all of them, and I'm like, man, like, and he's gonna be the guest on my show. Yes. Like that, there was that one bone in me that was like, big lie. I'm down. Like, I didn't even have to hear it, and I was like, I like this.
So it's not out yet, is it?
It's out.
It's out?
Yeah, it came out on January 6th.
Yeah.
In fact, my next podcast, this is great timing. My next episode drops tomorrow, and it is all about that song. It is all about the making of it, what inspired it. I got a guest rapper named Kimmy G, and he's a longtime friend of mine. He used to work for, this is kind of interesting too, he used to work for the Maury Povich show. And the whole crew that made the video works for Maury Povich. So it's got this sort of, even though I'm making fun of, Fox and TV, it's got this crew from like daytime trash television.
Wow.
And it just adds to the insanity of it. And there's some of the comments, not just on Blabbermouth, but elsewhere, are so funny. It's like, I mean, you'll hear it. I don't want to give it away, but I've known these guys for a while, and I mean, among my favorite comments, or he had to go out and hire black guys to be relevant. He's so desperate to be relevant. And I'm talking about this to my friend Kimmy, and we're just cracking up, like, because we've done other songs before. We did songs where he raps and I play guitar. But since I started doing this myself, this is actually my third one. I did two others during the pandemic. I thought I'd bring him in as a co-rapper and we do it as a duo. But then there's others. He's having a midlife crisis. He thinks he's going to be this rap star, but it's like dad rap. And it's so funny because, if I was trying to do this for real, like, that's not how I would do it. I
can't even.
It's like so obvious, the spirit of it. I mean, yes, I do like old school rap, and I think I do it well enough so that I could be at a party and people would say, "Oh, wow, yeah, he's not bad," But I don't think I'm, going to be the next Eminem. People really think I think that. You got to. I mean, it's amazing. So on my podcast, I actually read some of the Blabbermouth comments, and
oh man, the trolls love it. Yeah, like, and I love it because you read the threads, you read the comments, and they go like, at some point the thread shifts. And they're like squawking.
Oh, they're fighting. They turn on each other. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's like, wow, we've lost the whole purpose.
Yeah. Well, I have it. Should I play a little bit of it, or
you should?
It's your show.
I don't know, performance from Alex or
I don't know. I'm not going to do it live.
For both, I can do like 45 seconds of this video here, and then we'll come back and we'll hear some authentic playing from you.
There we go. Good plan.
All right, so you gotta announce it though for me. Tell everybody what this is, and I'll play it.
All right, so this is a fun song I wrote about the last election and January 6th, and it is my rap duo with my buddy Kimmy G, called Hush Money with the $, HU $. And the song is called Big Lie, BIGLIE.
Welcome to the show.
Yo, Jay, hype. What? Drop the beat.
Flipping through the channels, Fox News prime time. Grime time, crime time, let's call it slime time. Competition lurks, OAN News Max. So Fox has to up the twisting of the facts.
I'll need a detox from these toxic talks. It's like chains and locks on my cable box, all from watching Fox.
This is a man who will drain your sanity. He goes by the name of Sean Hannity, followed up by Tucker. He's a disturbed mother. Shut up! Then the truth gets further tangled as they're stumbling through the Ingram angle and getting way out of line. We got Judge Janine and her box of wine.
With the liars and the leakers and the leftists running the asylum. So how the hell can there be a quid pro quo?
The 2020 election was under historic protection, subject to inspection, but someone couldn't accept his rejection. Had to go and start an insurrection. Such a scam, how could anybody buy it? Go to DC for a Capitol riot. Doomed and hapless preordained mission. Unrest for sedition, which is uncontestable. Or is it? Now they're calling it a tourist visit. Voting against an investigation. Now that's misinformation. B-I-G. You got a whole lot of nerve trying to misinform me. L-I-E. You're trying to tell the whole world what our eyes didn't see. B-I-G-L-I-E. Try to deny there's blue in the sky. You can hide from the truth, that ain't nothing but a big lie. A big lie. Nothing but a big...
All right. That's going to be a teaser. I had to make it a teaser.
That was good. Good place to stop.
I'm rolling.
Hopefully your audience is not rioting right now.
Oh, no. We've got nothing but love.
All right.
Dancing and...
There we go. Now we're talking. Yeah.
Yeah. Man.
If you like it makes you dance. It makes you laugh.
I'm going to put that link in the chat room for everybody, so it's easy to access. But yeah, that's awesome. So you are a man of many hats. So you have the variety under your belt like no other. I'm impressed. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, Zappa, John Zorn is another one. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but this is a guy, just does ridiculous amount of albums and different genres and like no limits as far as genres. And all, so I'm going to do what I want to do, whether people can deal with it or not.
I feel like John, in his own way, he deliberately resists a category.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
Like he purposely sets out to not be pigeonholed. And I think that's what's iconic about music and great.
Yes. Yeah. And I can only do that so much because I'm so associated with the band Testament.
Welcome.
But it's all, outside of Testament, there are no limits. So
brilliant.
Thank you.
All right. Well, now we're going to move on to the segment of hearing you perform live for us. So,
all right. I'm just going to throw out some stuff. Okay.
Breathtakingly incredible.
Little sofa jam. That's all that was.
So
Most of that was from my trio, an original tune called Unbound.
Another one everybody has to check out is Conundrum.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Conundrum gets that tune is on Conundrum, but this song Conundrum gets a lot of requests. I get those Apple Music and Spotify playlists, and that seems like be one of the most played songs.
There was a comment I'm going to pull up. First, this one said, "Love live playing segments." So
Yay.
thank you for entertaining our viewers. And then this one says, "It's crazy how there are whole different modes of guitar. Amazing how he can go right into metal song on the same instrument by just switching the style."
That's right. I'd have to switch, hit a switch on the amp as well, but
2 switches then, huh?
yeah.
Alex, have you
the
ever?
amp is right there. There's the amp.
Have you
Thank
ever?
you, Orange.
I love that. Oh yeah. Have you ever thought of doing so this is going to sound really crazy. So my daughter was born premature. She was born 27 weeks and she was in NICU for 3.5 months. And when she was in NICU, I would take my phone and I would play blues music. I would put it on top of her isolette and just play soft blues music to her and stuff. Mm-hmm. Have you ever thought about, putting some of your riffs together with some of the creative talents you've worked with and put together to something for the children?
It's an interesting idea. I hadn't thought of it, but I just, on my podcast 2 episodes ago, I had on Divinity Rocks, who just released a children's album that's getting a lot of attention. It's great. It's like children's music that adults can listen to. But I hadn't thought about doing something like that, but I'd be open to it if somebody came to me.
That was awesome. It's just really relaxing and stuff like that. So just
thank you. Well, I'm working on some pieces that are more in that style, more relaxing, that I may release as solo pieces. We'll see.
Right on.
That could serve that purpose.
That is awesome, Alex. We're definitely way over time.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
This has been an exceptionally amazing, awesome interview, and we'd love to have you back again.
Absolutely. It'd be a pleasure.
You are an interesting character, and those I am drawn to. I'm so drawn to him. As soon as just saying, you're interesting, and I love it. You have layers to you. You have what is the word I'm thinking of? But you feel things on a different level than other people, and music pulls that out of you. Mm-hmm. And I love all about you. So I've been scrolling things across the screen, alexskolnick.com and alexskolnick.net. So there's a difference between the two. One is for your podcast, Moods and Modes. So, the .net is the Moods and Modes, right?
Yeah, Moods and Modes is on .net, and then everything else is .com. And also on Twitter and Instagram, I am just at Alex Skolnick. And YouTube, which is where you'll find the video we just saw, that's the real Alex Skolnick. And same with TikTok. I've got a TikTok, and it's also the real Alex Skolnick.
Well, we really loved getting to know you, and I'm sure there's more to learn about you, but you gave us a lot to work with already tonight. So I couldn't appreciate you enough.
Thank you so much, Alex, for coming and hanging out. Oh my God.
I had a good time. It was fun. So we'll do it again. Yep. Thank you guys for having me.
Yes, sir.
So tomorrow, right, Moods and Modes?
Tomorrow it drops with the whole the background and the behind the scenes. We're calling it Big Lie Exposed.
All right, everybody, go check it out. Go follow him. He's a great guy. So,
All
right. Thank you so much for your
Okay,
time,
guys.
Alex.
Thank
Thanks
you,
for
Alex.
having me. Good night.
All
See you
right.
soon.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Oh my goodness. We could have done another 3 hours with him.
Like I was sitting here, like I was just sitting on my hands, like I felt like my chair was moving around a lot. I was just, it was man, like yeah, dude. I don't get excited. Like I just, we've been doing this a long time. Like not this show, but this, and you very rarely get like wow excited about stuff these days. I mean, you get excited, but I don't know. You know what I mean, Rox? Like there's just I don't know.
There's an inspiring and empowering point to it, I think.
Yes.
If you are getting that scratch, you better fucking itch it. Try it.
Well said. If you can't reach, get somebody else.
But
So we got a fun show tonight, man. Thank you guys to everybody for coming and hanging out, man. Show so much love to our friends, fans, and everybody else. Teresa, we love you as always. Thank you so much. And everybody in the show, and everybody needs some Zappa in their life.
if you haven't heard of Zappa, shame on you. That's what I say.
Yeah. So thank you guys for coming and hanging out, man. Like, share, subscribe. And I am going to see you guys next week.
Oh, Teresa loves us back. Oh, she's the best.
Virtual hugs.
Yeah, next week, tune in. There's always great stuff happening at RA Nation. And if you want to put your input, you got some ideas, or send them our way. So
it was moving a lot, and like, listen, all right, listen.
Here's our Gmail address. So
yes,
you got ideas, send them our way.
For sure.
Yep.
All right, guys, we are out the door, man. Thank you guys for coming and hanging out. I will see you guys next week. Roxy, I'll see you next week.
Thank you to Standout Serpents, W4CY Radio, Talk 4 TV, and Music Philia Productions. All right.
See you guys.
Bye-bye. I gotta find the outro video first. It's in here.
He's like, it's
Say something else while I look for this. Man, save my back.
So this one time at band camp when I was
Okay, bye.